Hi, welcome to eoLIFE Education. My name is Rosie Grummert, and myself and other eoLIFE experts, we come here to teach you all about how to use doTERRA's essential oils and doTERRA products. It's our mission that you don't ever have an essential oil or a doTERRA product that you don't know how to use. Hey, if this is your first time here, be sure and subscribe, hit that bell, because then every time that we put something up for you, you'll get notified. And of course, we love it if you would like this video too. We do our very best to answer every single question, and we love hearing in the comments about what's working for you. So hey, let's get learning here on eoLIFE Education. All right, I think we're live. So welcome everybody to our eoLIFE Hub Thursday Night Live. I'm Rosie Grummert, and that's Krista Strayer. We're super excited to be here with you guys tonight. Tonight is part of our continuing ed series. We figured out we're on number 6. And so if you've got your card and you're checking everything off on your box to let the person know who's been teaching you about doTERRA that hey, I got all my continuing ed classes done. This one is your number 6. I'm super excited to turn the time over to Krista. She's always calm. She's always collected. If we're going to have anyone at all help us to figure out about emotion, like dysregulated emotions and sleep disturbances and stress, like Krista is the girl. So Krista, I'm going to turn it over to you, and just super excited to learn from you tonight.
Thanks, Rosie. And I'm not sure if excited is the right word for this one with the stress and the emotions and stuff. But I'm, just super grateful to be here to be able to share this with you guys tonight. I have learned a lot from this, a lot from Rosie, actually. She kind of like, last time I went through a course with her on this, it was like a total like lightning bolt, like opened my eyes to a whole new way of looking at this. And this is excited to share this part with you tonight. I am a yoga health coach, and I live up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And just blessed to be here. So thank you guys for being here with us. And I hope this is something that's going to be super helpful for you, as it was for me as I've been delving into this journey. Okay, so we are, I get my slide to work here. We are on sleep, stress, sleep, and emotions, and they link so terribly much together. And we'll be talking about some of the root causes of this and the symptoms, and how we can kind of integrate our healing solutions so that we can get beyond this and we can live those lives that we were truly meant to live. Now, along with this, we always like to start off with a little bit of the basics, and we're going to go through our presentation on, how this all kind of interrelates. But the basic, like those 3 main things that you always want to know about essential oils, want to remember, is that they are safe. These are 100% natural, and there's no side effects to them. There's no addictions to them. They are a natural substance from nature, and in that regard, our body knows what to do with them. And they don't cause some of those other side effects. We'll talk about that as we go along, because it's super important with the other solutions that are out there for stress and sleep and so forth. And they're super effective, right? They're just, nature knows what to do and how to do and how to give this to us. And think of your essential oils and stress as like going for a walk in the woods. And it's actually those same trees that are emitting those pheromones, or whatever they're called, that are the essential oils that you're breathing in and helps to calm us. So it is like super effective in how we do this. It's just a meant to be solution, and they're super affordable, right? We're going to talk about lots of great oils that are, we're talking about a range of oils, but a lot of them are really super affordable. They're not the big ones that we have to delve into for dealing with this, which is super good. And there are 3 ways to use them. Of course, aromatic is when we breathe it in, and we're going to go through a lot on this tonight, because this is how we really affects our stress and our emotions in our limbic system in our brain. So we're going to tap into that. Topical, really great to be able to just put that in the back of the brainstem. We're going to go through some of that. And internally, we can do that support. And so we can support it in one of the 3 ways. We can support it at all 3 at the same time and get even faster and deeper results from that. So if you want to learn more, this is like a really quick, going over the basics in, under a minute type thing. If you want to know more about this, I really encourage you to go and visit with Rosie and PJ on Saturday mornings, they give a really great introduction class that tells you more about kind of those building blocks of like, about the essential oils and really how that kind of all ties in. So that's Saturday mornings at 9 Pacific and 10 Mountain Time. And the link is due tonight, but I want to give you just a little bit of my background. And I am a mom of 2 beautiful girls who are, I guess, young adults now, 18 and 20. So they've grown up really fast. And my husband, who's my steady Eddie, and our little dog Toby. And I think, well, I'm pretty sure all of us are on that range of the dealing with stress and anxiety and emotions. And I didn't really realize how severely it was impacting my life until my daughter got really had some real severe challenges with this, and dealing with that, looking for solutions. I started trying out some of the solutions I was suggesting for her and found that it made a huge difference in my life. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I can actually like link some sentences together and link some thoughts together, and really deeper understanding of how this really, even though we think we're super healthy and living on a certain level, we've come to believe this, state of stress and anxious feelings is just, normal and how things should be, until we can relieve some of those and come back to a different baseline. And it is a whole new world, which is wonderful to explore. So there's my two daughters. One is quite dedicated to her studies and so forth, and I worry about her in terms of getting, too wrapped up in perfectionism and that, element. And my other daughter has suffered some trauma, some head trauma, some emotional trauma, and she is going on her own little path on that. And so we're exploring mental health in a variety of ways. And then my husband and I just dealing with the kids and life and so forth. And even our dog Toby is an anxious dog, right? So he gets his treatments, and all of these that we're going to talk about, they all relate, whether it's your canine friends or your adults and your kid people in your house. It all comes into that. And then the other picture here with me, my tongue stuck out. I use Ayurveda as the primary method when I'm working with clients. In Ayurveda, we believe everything begins in the gut. So that tongue is your, that viewpoint into what's happening in the gut. And this is the root of some of the things that we're dealing with. And so to start our treatment with the gut is going to be super, super important. Okay, so enough of the lion tongue there. Just let me know how you guys are feeling, and this helps me to kind of know how to gear our conversation here. But in the chat box, type in your answer on this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, so 0 is nothing at all, and I guess 0 to 10. 0 is nothing to 10, and 10 is like, yeah, this is like consuming my life, right? This is a big problem. Type in how often you're aware of being stressed in your daily life. So just go stress 6 or stress 10, stress 2, whatever that is, and put that number in. And this is good for you too, just to have that like self-awareness, right? So a big part of our yoga beliefs is that we're always want to just come back and just understand how this is working for you, or understand what you're feeling in the moment, right? So stress equals whatever that number is today, or kind of how you feel on a weekly average. And how concerned are you about the quality and quantity of your sleep? So how much is sleep impacting you in your day? Again, just go sleep, and then your number 0 to 10. And then how frequently do your emotions feel difficult to manage appropriately? Are you having outbursts? Are you just not able to like get started in your day or move forward? Are you just super emotional and everything just becomes a big deal, bigger than you know it should be, but you just have no control over that? Some of the ways that might be feeling. And it can be a little bit, scary to kind of put it out there and to name it. But if we don't kind of pull it out, if we don't kind of name it, then we're not going to be taking those steps forward to making a difference with it. This is kind of a Brené Brown principle, where if you can pull it out of the darkness, then we can deal with it. Right? And there's no shame in that naming of it. This is a place, we consciously make this place that we can feel safe and we can be honest with each other. And that honesty is going to create that movement forward and that ability to move forward. So this is a safe place for you to start this work. And don't worry about it if someone else sees that maybe you've got is some of it, also on the call, and it's like, no, they're going to see that I got a two on this. And I used to always worry about this. And it's like, I don't want to admit the state of my mental health, because what if at some point this, it comes back on me? But if I had admitted it a lot earlier, I could have made strides to move forward a lot earlier too, right? And so just be okay with where you're at on the spectrum, because we're all there at some point. Okay, so that kind of gives me a little bit of a clue on that as to where you're going. And we'll pop into this. Okay. Oops, and then we're going to pop back again. So this is our lovely brain, and I love to kind of look at the why. I used to be an engineer, right? So I'm very why brain focused, and I need to know what it is, or why these things are happening, right? It's kind of helpful for me to move forward with that. So our challenges with emotions and stress and sleep all come from the limbic system in our brain. And this is the base brain, or the reptile brain. It is our fight or flight response in our brain. It is our sensory gateways. So it's kind of how we interpret the world, how everything comes in for us. And it's those reward centers. So when we do something, a good habit or a bad habit, and we reward ourselves with those dopamine hits, that's what's going to be coming into this, which makes a big difference. And so this is really impactful actually for all of our habit change theory, right? It's super good for that. And this is what kind of regulates some of our body functions. So sometimes when you get in these stress states, your heart starts to race, or you might feel this flush of emotions or this heat through your body. And it's just like you can't even control these body functions. And even to the state where sometimes people will do that, go into that flight, and they'll start to run, or they'll start to move, or their leg will start to tick. And it's all kind of from this system of the brain. And it's our big state of our emotions and how we portray those emotions into the outside world. So surrounding this, and so these are kind of the different areas, that basal ganglia. We don't need to go into all of the super technical stuff. This isn't a total brain class, a little bit of a brain class. And but around this is your cerebral cortex, right? So all of this other kind of gooey matter on the outside. This is kind of what separates us from other animals, right? We have this thinking brain around that. And when we're triggered, and I love this Dan Siegel analogy, so you have this like amygdala and your base brain kind of coming in through here in your thumb. And then around this is our cerebral cortex, right? And when we get triggered, he calls it, if you flip your lid, and actually this emotion or reaction part of your brain is no longer even connected to the cerebral cortex. It doesn't actually like flip, you don't actually blow your head off, but what happens is the connectors, right? So those neural pathways and those connections and those synapses no longer, they don't work, right? And sometimes you can even see this where you've got these thoughts that just kind of go in and out, in and out. That's, again, it's just these pathways are not connecting properly between the different parts of our brain. And then we have something else. Let me go to our next slide here. We have our wonderful olfactory system, right? Our sense of smell. And it does seem really odd. Like, how can smelling an essential oil really affect how you're feeling? It's a really kind of hard concept for us to grasp. But if you think about it, when you breathe this in, you're coming into, I got another picture here in a moment of this olfactory system goes right, and it connects right into this part of the brain. Actually, let's go right into here. So you're going to breathe in that smell. There's got a rose here, but actually let's do this. So grab an oil that you have handy if you've got one there. I'm trying to get into my little Mother's Day kit here that I have. I'm going to grab, totally needing a magnolia right now. I'm going to grab that. Wild orange is a beautiful one to grab. So just put a little bit on your hands and just smell it in, right? And just take that nice deep breath. You can do that again. And just, as two things with our breathing, our yoga breathing, that's that deep breath out is going to calm our system down as well. But that breathing in is taking that sense of smell and taking that scent right to those reward parts of the brain, right to the emotions. It might remind you of something. It might trigger a memory sets in this area as well. Okay, and this little green guy here is actually the nerve, the olfactory nerve. So we have that imagine the rose here coming in, and it's coming into this green, and it's looping all the way around, and it's actually connected in with some of these synapses into this whole limbic system. Okay. Let me just check my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. Oh, right. Before we jump off of this, as you're breathing in this scent, essential oils that we're using today, the doTERRA oils, are 100% natural, right? And this can't say the same for all the essential oils out there. We wish that were true, and hopefully someday that will be true. But the ones that you do buy on the mass market or in the grocery store or in the malls likely have synthetic additives in them. Even if the company didn't intend it, it's just the way the market is. It's big business. And the synthetics are much cheaper to produce in a lot of cases than some of the oils. And so what we're talking about here with the doTERRA brand of oils is there's nothing been added to this. It is pure natural substance, and it has been distilled in this pure form as possible to extract the most therapeutic quality from those oils. So it's just a whole holistic system that we have in there. And it's just pure chemistry, right? It's perfectly designed to interact and support and heal our body. It's just amazing. So when you put that drop on your hand and you smell it, those teeny tiny molecules go in and they enter our bloodstream, and they go into this olfactory nerve system that connects all through there. And this is a known delivery system, right? So breathing in, if you go to a hospital, they might put a gas mask on to calm you down. If you can look at movies, or somebody that has the maybe the illegal side of the drugs, they're sniffing it in. It affects the brain. Like that's how a known system of how to create this effect, right? But what's happening is these chemical constituents, so each essential oil is broken down into a whole bunch of different chemicals and molecules, and we're not going there tonight. But they interact with our nervous system, and so they connect with these synapses and allow them to make a much better connection, and they allow them to work. So instead of these missing links, everything is going to like connect and do what it needs to do. It's going to be able to talk to each other again. So we can go back to being that person that you want, right? And so this limbic system is where we store our memories, where our emotions are stored. And this fight or flight system that we talked about, anytime that you're noticing that you're not acting the way you want, that you're reactionary, or you're just getting triggered by things, this is when you can smell that oil, draw that sense in through the blood, through the nerves, and it's going to be able to affect this change. And it really takes us out of that fight or flight or freeze mode and back, and it's allowing that corpus callosum to work again and to connect so that we can think again and we can think logically. Okay. And yeah, let's move on from that. Any questions on that? Feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat. And Rosie, I can't see the chat on the Facebook, so I'll have you kind of monitor that if that's okay. If there's something coming from up that, feel free to, pop in and make this as interactive as we can.
Yeah, I've been watching, and so far we have a lot of people who are just soaking in all of your amazing knowledge. So just keep going. It's great.
Okay, I could talk for this for hours, so we'll try to rein it in a little bit. Okay, so yes, this is where just like a highlight slide. So it's our emotions, our memory, our hormones, right? So our limbic system is also flooding. You can think it's all chemicals. It's all a chemical reaction within our body. And our essential oils are chemicals, right? And they're wonderful, wonderful little chemicals that allow us to make change and affect change within the body. Okay, they kind of become like the antidote, right? That we need, which is awesome. Okay, so coming into our we have our little scale there. Just a little bit of a summary of some of that and going a little bit deeper. That hypothalamus that we saw is that tiny control center that's part of our limbic system in the brain. And when we are stressed, it orders the brain to send out these stress hormones, right? And the stress hormones, they're designed originally to protect us, right? It was that, the old adage of the tiger chasing us in the woods. What happens is you want to be able to react. And some animals react by running, some animals react by freezing, and some animals react by fighting back. And so it just kind of depends on what reaction is being triggered within us. However, we are now in a state where we don't have taggers in our regular day-to-day life, typically. Occasionally a bear or something like that might be in our realm of consciousness, but usually not tigers. But we still get triggered by these things. So our brain is like fooled into thinking that we are in stress mode. And this can happen because of past occurrences. It can happen because something happened in the past. And our brain works on memories. If it detects this is a similar pattern to something that's happened, it's going to put you back into that mode again, whether or not it's true or not. It doesn't stop to think about true. It just goes to that emotional state. And so we need to find a way to get out of this patterning. And it can even be generational, responses in that. And so we're trying to affect this change and break this chain of events so that we can move forward, and so our kids can move forward, and generations of people around us can move forward, right? But some of the symptoms of being in chronic stress, so what this is doing is when it's, taking the stress hormones in, the big one is cortisol, right? That's kind of a big gun. And cortisol is good in small amounts and in the proper places. But when we have constant levels of cortisol within our system, it's going to lead to irritability, anxiety, depression. Constant chronic headaches can be a cause of that. Insomnia, it doesn't allow us to let go and to sleep. Your body, and sometimes you might feel, we're going to talk about this in different people, feel it in different ways. You might find that your body just constantly tense. And that's, for me, this has been years of, I just have this body that just won't relax and let go. You go to massage and they're just like, holy smokes. And it's like, doesn't everybody feel this way? Like, isn't this normal? And you have no way of knowing what normal is or not normal, right? And then it affects our immune function. It can affect your blood pressure, and it goes into a whole host of this elevated cortisol starts to streamline of all sorts of dis-ease within the body, right? And in Ayurveda, it's like this, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 is when we find it in the Western medical system. We want to be able to start tracking these and making these changes within us before dis-ease turns into a disease, right? So we want to be able to not, manage our emotional state before that. Okay, and there's a little quote on the bottom here where 70% of our sleeping problems are related to, stress issues, right? And that's huge. And if you think about it, a lot of the time it's just not letting that brain let go, not allowing your body being tense or in that fight or flight, and not allowing yourself to relax deep enough to go into that state of nurturing sleep. And then the next day you're starting again, and not from that 0 point, you're starting already from a heightened awareness because you haven't had a good night's sleep. So it just perpetuates itself in the system. And some of these things can, eventually cause adrenal fatigue within our body, weight gain, especially weight gain around the middle, right? So one to watch out for, one that we don't want to have. And yeah, it's precursors to so many other health challenges. Okay, we firmly believe that we, sorry, I just tried to find my mouse here, that we're firmly believers of the bottom-up approach, right? Western medicine has so many great things that it can do, and we've had so many advances through that, but a lot of it is symptom-based in how we are approaching things. So if you're not feeling good, you take this drug and it's gonna mute the effect, and it's gonna help you in this regard. It's gonna get you through that period. But what it's not doing is addressing those root causes as to what's really causing the issue, right? Whether it's a sleep, whether it's your nervous system and resetting that whole system, whether it is a gut problem in terms of what's going on and you're just not getting the proper nutrients to be able for your brain to get the proper food that it needs, right? So we want to look at this from the root causes and looking at, how can we address what our body is really asking for. And this is where our essential oils play such a beautiful role, and that they're extracted from plants. They enhance our physical and our emotional health, right? And they just don't have those side effects that are going to start this trigger reaction through the body. Okay. So stress, sleep, and emotions. So some of this, pardon me. We have some great natural solutions that are really good supporters for our body. So omega-3s is one of the primary ones for managing mood. And It's interesting that depression actually is a lot less common in nations where people eat large amounts of fish. And scientists have investigated this, whether fish oils can prevent or treat depression and other mood disorders. So this is something really exciting coming forth from that side of it. So omega-3s can easily travel through that brain cell membranes, and they interact with these mood molecules within the body. And they've got anti-inflammatory actions that might help to relieve depression. They're actually prescribed therapy now for concussion treatment. So omega-3s in quite high doses. And they're also really good for healing your gut lining. So if we're thinking of everything starting in the gut, the omega-3s are going to help to eliminate some of those gut problems that are leaking through and causing this havoc in other systems within the body. And I found this has been a super support for me. And I actually take a double or triple dose sometimes of the omega-3s to support the gut healing within my body. And it's also helping to, with healthy brain function as well. Vitamin D is another one that's linked to a lot of chronic illnesses, especially for us living in Canada. We don't get enough sunshine, right? And that's where we naturally get it. And so this can help with depression. And it's really helpful to actually take liquid vitamin D, and because it's just better absorbed by the body knows what to do with it, and it can help heal our gut related issues. This is one too, like liquid vitamin D you can use topically as well as internally, just like our oils. So when I'm working on healing my gut stuff, I actually, with the outward trigger for that for me is I'll get a rash all over my hands, right? And putting some vitamin D, so I'll put like 4 little drops and rub it in, and I'll take 4 little drops and take them internally, and that's a super good support. The rhodiola rosacea is another great one. Just coming to watch kind of what your medications you're on for that one. And then really special helpful can be the pre and probiotics. And what I didn't put on here is also digestive enzymes are really, really helpful in terms of that gut support and those natural supplement supports for this. And we'll talk about more on the supplement side in a little bit. Now, there's 3 ways, and this was like the key thing that I've learned from Rosie, and I'm forever grateful for her on this, because it really helped me understand how my emotion, my anxiety, and my stress is different from somebody else's. And so this kind of one solution doesn't work for everybody, right? And so it's kind of like, this is a really good stepping stone for how to find that solution. And it comes back again to our brain chemistry. And we're not treating or diagnosing or anything on here, not prescribing anything, but these are just things that might be helpful in terms of food and other and essential oil support. And it has to do with different types of neurotransmitters within the brain. And again, we're not going to go supremely geeky on that, although I do love that side. But if you are feeling kind of melancholy or bluesy, if you've got some afternoon, evening food cravings coming in, and insomnia, disturbed sleep, this might be because you have low serotonin. And this can be a result of that extra cortisol and stress that your body just always being in that heightened state. And it's also quite linked to improper gut function, right? So serotonin levels are really interrelated into that gut brain, we really call it, right? So some of the oils that support this are basil and bergamot, other citrus oils. All the citrus oils are really good for this one. Elevation is a blend that's super supportive for this. And I kind of forgot about elevation for a while, and I had it from way back. I had used it, and then you have oils go in and out of flavor, right, in terms of what you're using. And then I just got reintroduced to it lately, and it's just been one of my ones I've been falling in love with. So give that one a try. There's some really powerful oils within that elevation blend. It actually has that melissa in it, which can be one of the ones that's just a bit more less affordable to get into your hands, but totally worth it when you have it. But there is some of that in elevation, so you can tap into that through there. This is amazing for supporting certain levels of our emotional health, right? And ylang ylang is another great one on that. Okay, other things, if you are feeling, let's go to the next one here, kind of a lack of energy, lack of drive and motivation, if you're having memory challenges and just can't, think of things that are going on, you've got faster, shallow breathing, or that lack of focus, maybe, you think you have ADHD, or someone's telling you you've got ADHD, or maybe this is something that right? This could be because of the catecholamines. I'm saying that correctly. And these are released during your body's stress response, and they don't necessarily go back to normal again. And so when they're not coming back to normal, they're staying in those elevated states, this is what can happen. And some of the catecholamines are adrenaline, dopamine, and norepinephrine, or someone can correct me on how I'm saying that. And really good things for this are your full spectrum amino acids, and these come from meat, eggs, poultry, seafood, dairy are all really good ones for that. Even the soy, the quinoa, and the buckwheat, if you're vegan, those are good sources for those ones. The oils that support this are our lemongrass, our frankincense, rosemary. Rosemary is a good one for a whole bunch of brain stuff. So is frankincense. It's really good for supporting all sorts of brain function. Basil is wonderful for the brain and also for the adrenals, right? And all of these things are linked together. And then again, our lemon and our wild orange or citruses are super good for the catecholamines. Okay, and then the third chemical kind of imbalance that might happen is low GABA. And signs of low GABA can be these stiff and tense muscles, just feeling overstretched and overwhelmed by things. If you've got so much mental chatter going on that you can't shut off. And maybe it's because you're just more reactive to things than you would like to be. And GABA supportive foods that you can incorporate into your diet are the whole grains, the fava beans, the soy, the lentils, any nuts, including walnuts. And there's that theory that the walnut looks like the brain, and so it's really helpful for supporting the brain. Nature gives us all sorts of clues, right? We just have to open our eyes to them and be open to what's around us. But almonds and sunflower seeds are also really good. Fish is good. Your shrimp and your halibut. So it's really those good healthy fats that we're talking about in here too. Your citruses and tomatoes can be good for this one. Berries, spinach, broccoli, potatoes fall in this one, and cocoa, right? So we can have our cocoa or chocolate fix is good for this one. Oils that really support this is the Aromatouch blend. The adaptive system is really good. The balance, the Align yoga blend, console, and the peace. This is one of the ones that kind of clued in for me. It's like, oh, that is just totally speaking to where I'm at. This is not the one that portrays most for my daughter. And I was so, hopeful when the adaptive was brought out that this was going to be our thing, and it worked great for me. Not as much for her. And so she does take more to some of the other oils on the other slides in terms of the elevation, the cheer, and even lavender. Lavender is her go-to for what she needs to get out of it. And so it's just being that other level of awareness of we're not all the same. One thing is not going to work for everybody, but being aware and being that consciousness as to what's going to work for you, and just being okay with testing that in. So I want you just to take a moment. We've kind of gone through a lot, right? And maybe there's like some things there. It's like, oh, that was me, or that was me. I'm going to jot that down before we forget it. And some of those are recommended protocols. I probably should have had this slide before we went through all of that. I can run through these again. So as you're jotting this down, just grab a piece of paper, if you have that handy, and just jot down like 3 things that you're working on in terms of this state. And maybe they're 3 interrelated. Like maybe you've got some gut stuff going on, some anxiety stuff, some sleep stuff, and now we know kind of why those are all interrelated, and we can find some solutions that mix them all. Maybe you have some pain stuff that's coming in, so put down what those concerns are. And I'm just going to flip back as you're thinking of that really quickly to these 3 different things. So if you have those stiff, tense muscles leading to chronic pain, some of these might be really good solutions for you. Or if you've got that mental chatter, overactive, if you're feeling more like that lack of focus, ADD type thing, or just memory challenges, and just lack of energy, hard to get moving, it might be the catecholamines, and these are the oils that might be super supportive for you on that. And then the last one was serotonin, or the first one was serotonin. And so just that really disturbed sleep, this kind of like just feeling kind of down, and those cravings. And it could be a combination of a few of them, right? There's never everything in isolation, so you can give that a try. Okay, so you could jot this down, and then this is really helpful when you talk with the person that is your essential oil coach, the person that's introduced you to oils. They can kind of help you put together what that plan will be for helping to combat that. Now this is a little hibernation roller. This is a blend. A lot of people that I work with don't like lavender, right? Or they might be sensitive to lavender. And so we always kind of go to lavender as our sleep aid. But this is a really good blend that doesn't include lavender. So if you're one of those people that don't like the lavender and don't want it near you when you're sleeping, then this is a really good alternate blend to try. And it has got some really good heavy hitters in here to help us with just really getting into that deep realm of sleep. So frankincense, vetiver, bergamot, agrumam, chamomile. And this is, you'd put 20 drops of each of these into a 10 ml roller, and then you just fill the rest up with the fractionated coconut oil to get that proper dilution rate for that. And that'll be safe for kids as well to do that. And when you have this, when it's diluted in the fractionated coconut, it's actually going to stay on your system longer. It's going to stay with your skin longer. So feel free to step into that. And then this one here is some other great solutions. And so this is what I love to do. And I find the Serenity oil is wonderful. I love it, but the Serenity soft gels even has a little bit more than the oil. They kind of, when they do the soft gels, there's always a little bit of extra, so they combined it with like an herbal essence in there. So it's going to be even more effective for us. And this is just wonderful. So if you've had a day that your brain is going a million directions, for me, if I've had a day where maybe I had like a little coffee treat, close to noon or afternoon, there's no way I'm going to sleep that night. And so I'll take some Serenity. It just help me get through that. Or if I've had something go on that my mind is just racing and I'm not going to be able to turn it off, the Serenity soft gels are great for that. And I combine them with the Copaiba. So this is my nightly regimen, the Serenity and the Copaiba at night. I don't take the Serenity every night. Sometimes I'm going to bed and I know I'm just going to sleep like crazy. If you don't need it, you don't need it. There are nights when I, didn't take them, and I might wake up in the middle of the night, and it's one of those times where like I'm going to be awake for hours. I just get up, take them, and sure enough, within half an hour, I'm out. There's two things with Serenity. One is it's not like a sleeping pill where it's going to put you out regardless. It is something we have to use that body awareness. So you take it and then put yourself into that relaxed position. So you might go to bed, do some reading, write in your journal, and then just be aware of when that sleepiness comes to go with that, right? To allow that to allow yourself to go into that state. You can push through it. So if you take it and then you start to clean the kitchen or to go around your house, you could miss those little signs of this is when I'm ready to go to sleep, and push right through it and not have it be effective. So be aware of that. The other thing is that Serenity is really powerful, and it's taking us into those deeper levels of sleep. And if you're not used to that, if you're not used to going into that, you might have some kind of vivid dreams for a while. I kind of think of it as like a detox reaction. So we first start using some of the oils as we're detoxing our system. You might get, a reaction. You might get a skin rash. You might be getting headaches. And it's kind of like the same with our sleep. You might be getting some vivid dreams as you're kind of like detoxing your nighttime ritual, and as you're getting into those deeper levels of sleep. Okay, so just if that happens and you get vivid dreams, know that it's actually a good thing, that you're actually moving forward and you're kind of getting rid of stuff, and soon those go away and you'll be able to slip into sleep. The other thing I like to relate that to is like when you do legs up the wall, like for yoga. At the beginning, your legs get all tingly, but after a while, after you've done them for a few days, that goes away, right? So it's just one of those reactions that's there at the beginning, but quickly passes, and then you're able to see the full benefit of that. Another good nightly routine is the adaptive soft gels. And adaptive, we haven't talked about that yet, but it's a really good mental health blend. And we're going to go into it some more, and it comes in a couple different forms. But the soft gels are really good for dealing with all of this kind of stress. And we saw it in the second slide there that it was like one of the number ones for that. So you could be taking your adaptive and your Copaiba at night, and then perhaps some Yarrow Palm capsules. And so Yarrow Palm capsules are also really good for supporting our metabolism, helping us get into that state of restful sleep. They also do really good things for cleansing us and our skin, and a whole bunch of other great, regulating blood sugar levels, things like that. So super good. So adaptive is one that to play with, that whether you want to take it in the evening or whether you want to take it in the morning. So for me, I take my adaptive first thing in the morning and kind of help to ease through my day. For some people, that doesn't work for them. It's not their optimum, and they find it better at night, and it soothes their feelings so that they can have that restful sleep and then they're productive during the day. So just finding whatever that balance is for you. Again, just being aware. Okay, these are some other great diffuser blend recipes, and this will be on the handout that you get tonight, so you don't have to worry about copying those down. And just some different options of what to play with in your diffuser, because sometimes I just don't know what I want to do. And I kind of have my go-to, and I use breathe at night just because it opens the airways and I seem to breathe deeper. My husband's a little bit noisy on his side of the bed, and so that kind of calms down his reaction to that as well. And so I think that's part of why I sleep better. But it's just, it just becomes easy. But sometimes you just want a little bit of change. So here's some great ones to try. And you might notice that there's a couple of these that have, or 3 of them that has some citrus. And if you're thinking, oh, citrus, that's like our morning thing. Citrus is actually one that shuts off that mental chatter. And so if you're finding that you have a lot of that at night, this is a great way to just add a little bit of citrus to whatever your calming nighttime routine is, and it will stop that mental chatter and just allow you to sleep a lot deeper and a lot better. Okay. Going on, this one here, I love this little mood matrix. And these are the 4 original mental health blends that doTERRA came out with. And they're still like just part of my go-tos in this. And so kind of depending on where you're at, and it makes it kind of really easy to pick one. And then the names really help them on that too. Like Serenity is that calming, composing, it's kind of, typically it's a nighttime oil, but I have a lot of my clients that use this first thing in the day and first thing in the morning just to kind of like help their day go smooth. Balance is that kind of grounding, pull it all in. So I've got all these, things going all over the place. Balance just brings it in and brings me to center and allows me to like be productive in my day. That's my go-to in the morning. Citrus Bliss is that invigorating, stimulating, but you might want to have a little bit of that at night to shut off those voices, right? So it kind of does the 2 things. And then Elevation is this just amazing blend that if you are in those kind of lower states, just to kind of raise you back up so that you're feeling capable and confident again. So this is the first system that doTERRA came out with, which is wonderful. Oh, and there's a few different things. So there's a little kind of like a magic blend that took me a few years to hear about this, but if you combine kind of equal parts of the Balance, Serenity, and Citrus Bliss, I believe it's equal parts. There's everybody has their like little secret system. But that Balance, Serenity, Citrus Bliss together makes an amazing little mood matrix. So if you've got like a teenager in university that's just like all over the place, that's a really good one. It's a good one for like nighttime, like it's nice to use oils like frequently, like throughout your day. So maybe it's like your morning, your afternoon, and your evening, and you just keep going with that protocol and seeing where that can lift you up. So that's a kind of a little magic number with that. And then the next one that came out that doTERRA created was based on kind of some blending theories and combining the different families together to create really supportive oils for our mood. And these are amazing. I admit, like that engineer, I got that science background, I was a little bit skeptical. And I always thought these smelled nice, but didn't know, did they actually do anything? Until the day I was sitting in a dentist chair and I had broken my jaw and I was getting my jaw braces put on my teeth to wire my jaw shut for perhaps 3 to 6 months. They didn't know if it was going to work or not because it had got misdiagnosed and missed, and it was a mess. So I'm sitting in this chair about to have my teeth wired shut, so I was not going to be able to eat or talk for an extended period of time. Pretty scary thing to be going through. And I just put all of these, I had all 6 of them. I had it in a little baggie, had them on my belly, and the dentist was going through and putting the one by one. It was like a 3-hour procedure to get all of the braces put on. They had to line up perfectly to put the wire through and all this. And I would just reach for an oil, and it would be forgive for myself, for the stupidity of the accident, forgive for the medical system for completely misdiagnosing a broken jaw, and all those things around that. And then it would be okay, peace. And it's like I take a few breaths. A few minutes later, it's like okay, got through that, and then okay, let's add some peace on. Okay, maybe I'm ready for some cheer. And it just within a few minutes, it was just like okay, shifted out of that overwhelmed feeling of like what's happening to okay, I can breathe, I can get through this again. Console was like my best friend through that. And I became a firm believer that these actually really do work, and saw how quickly that they can do that. so that in other parts of my life, when I was going through some tough times, had that 3 weddings and a funeral. I had like 2 funerals and a hospitalization, and there's lots of stress and trauma going on, and throw a diamond club in there. Um, it was, console was my new best friend, and being able to accept. I call this the console blend my like oil of acceptance, and just accepting whatever is. And that's just kind of one that helps me get through that. And one that's not a mood oil that helps me with that is also breathe, right? And just, going through that. Breathe and Aromatouch are really good for just accepting and dealing with some of that grief that might be present. And then the latest, series in this. So mental health is a big, was it not really a project? It's a calling for doTERRA, right? In terms of how they serve in the world. And I love this new system they've come up with, the adaptive system that has the wild orange, the lavender, copaiba, spearmint, magnolia, rosemary, neroli, and sweet gum. And it is just a wonderful blend. And I find I'm using it all the time. So it's 3 different, they've got 3 different ways to use it to make it super easy for us. They have it in a roller, and I love to just roll it on the back of the neck. I find this really actually supportive for when I have some head tension and those beginnings of a headache. It can really do wonders on that. They have the pure oil that you can put in your diffuser. This is my go-to blend when I'm working. I just find I get more done and able to focus. I'm able to function. Super great for that. Would also be good for I think it was in one of those sleep time blends that would work as well. And then they have this capsule, and the capsule has the adaptive oil in it. Plus it also has the ahi flower oil, which is really high in those omega-3s that we talked about earlier. It has GABA in it, and it has I'm not good at pronouncing tonight, but acetylum, which is from South Africa, and it's been something that's been used like a natural herb. It's been used there for centuries for mental and emotional support. So it's kind of what they're tapping into those ancient wisdom systems. And when you first start, it's where you can actually get this whole collection together. They kind of bundled it together, and whenever there's a bundle, you kind of save on the value of that. And then after you get them, you'll run out at different spaces. So the adaptive capsules, I go through 1 a month. I'm taking 1 a day, and that's just great for supporting me. If things are really stressful, I might be at 2, but usually it's 1 a day is kind of my maintenance. So that I go through fairly quick. Whereas the roller and the oil, those will last you for quite some time. So you'll find that you don't need to order them as the collection all the time, but that is a really good way to get started and to be able to support on all 3 systems, right? So now we're using it topically, we're using it aromatically through the diffuser, and internally through the capsule. I believe you can also take this one. This one is safe to take internally as the oil as well. It doesn't have those extra additives in it, but it can be a great support that way too. Another, we've got some great systems, and we talked about the Aromatouch blend earlier, being a great for grief and supporting some of those different chemical reactions within the body. The Aromatouch system, if you ever get a chance for someone to do that on you, or even just a hand massage, the Aromatouch system is designed to actually kind of reset the nervous system. So that is kind of like step 1 in terms of like, what are we doing? That's just a beautiful way to do that. And the other beautiful one that we have that supports us is the Symphony of the Cells. And this was created by Boyd Truman, and his philosophies. The Aromatouch is very like, there's a synchronized, it's almost like a meditative flow of how you apply the oils and that reaction. It's kind of like putting it through there, massaging it through the back, and it's very much energetic flow and meditative state. Symphony of Cells, the philosophy behind it is simply get oils on people. Our spine is an excellent delivery system, the spine and the bottoms of the feet, and then our sense of smell. And so this is it looks complicated. When I first got the book, it's like, oh, I have no idea what to do, how to do this. And I went to a training, it's like, oh, this is so simple, right? And it really is so simple. It's as long as you can, know that is like the neck, right? You've got this figured out. The neck, the nose, the feet, right? Put it on the head and the neck and the shoulders, smell it, rub the excess on the feet, and then just go through. So spine, nose, feet. And then it gets a little bit, this one here, this is the most complicated, the Symphony of the Cells one, because I'm emotional. So it's amoebic, it's emotional, limbic. It's a pretty complicated system, and it affects everything within the body. It doesn't have to be this complicated. So they actually have the rose and the jasmine. They have the person, the hand, because they come in roller bottles. You put it on your hand first, and then you smell it, and then you put it on the spine. And but you can just like simply roll it up up and down. As we're in this, what are we in our state, our extra immune sensitive state here, we might want to just be careful of how we apply oils, and in that interaction of touch is totally fine. So dropping them on there, rolling is probably not what you want to do, but you could take a dropper and take it out of there, or put it on your own hand and place it on. Totally good. Carrier oils really help to support that you're not getting just too much, and it helps to kind of support the body through that, so it's not too aggressive. But these are just wonderful oils to use. I also love the Symphony of the Cells because it's really quick. If I'm looking for an emotional limbic oil, I can just look at this and go, this is what I need. The centering blend on this is one of the yoga oils. It's actually the Align yoga oil, I believe is the one that's from that one. So super good. And don't be scared of doing this. Like, to do a Symphony of the Cells treatment, you don't need to go to the fancy training. You don't need a massage table. You don't need anything. You just need a person's back, and without a shirt on type thing, and you're just rolling up the back and let them smell it, put it on their feet. Roll up the back, let them smell it, put it on their feet. You can kind of give some loving touch in there. I encourage you just to be light, just to be gentle with these ones. Like, you don't have to drive it in there. The oils do the work, really, they do. So you're just allowing it in there, but that sense of touch is nice, that you're just connecting with that person. Okay. I just checked my notes. It is the Align blend. So this is the other element. So oopsies. Our everything starts in the gut, and so we do have this wonderful support system with our LLV, and this has been a total lifesaver for me on a number of fronts, both on the pain front and on the emotional side. And being able to take these has totally shifted my world. And I was not a supplement person, and it took me a long time for my essential oil coach to get me around to this. So I encourage you not to take as long as I did. I'm just a slow learner on that aspect. But these have a wonderful system, and there a lot of the Ayurvedic herbs that we talk about in Ayurveda are all within this. It's just a beautiful complex that they've put together, and you can purchase it as a kit. And again, you save money. They're doing that way, and you can also purchase like the extra omega-3s. So I will take like one of these, the full system through the month, but I'll order an extra omega-3 to support when I'm working on healing the gut and going deeper into some of those issues. But they are just super amazing for clear thinking, reducing your aches and pains, even like, teenagers and acne, right? Which is, one of those outward signs of something going on, something being out of alignment. Super good for supporting that. Any of us with acne, right, in health. And these things just come out on our skin. It's just a symptom. This is going to help to support that, right? Everything believes in the gut. Okay. We've talked about a lot of different things, a lot of different symptoms, a lot of different things. You might be thinking, oh, so-and-so, that's what they have, or this is really going to be supportive for them, or, my Aunt Mary needs this, and the person I work with used to be on a cubicle next, and now she's on the Zoom thing next to me. You might be some people that you want to share this with. And so this is just an opportunity, just trying to jot those down on your piece of paper there, as to who you could help impact their life, who you could help change with that. And it's super rewarding to be able to share this with others, right? Because they are just amazing, such simple tools that we have that can make such amazing results. And it can help you get your oils paid for, right? So if there are some people that you want to share it with, or if you're thinking that this really aligns with what I want to do with my life, there's some different ways that you can do this. And so it doesn't have to be a big deal. You can give your friend a sample. You can tell them those 3 cool things about essential oils, like pop quiz time, that they are safe, affordable, and they're super effective. You can tell them, those 3 ways to use them. You can smell them, you can put them on your skin, and you can take them internally. Now, we only do those 2, the doTERRA ones, right? We have to make sure that they are pure. And then there's some super great kits to help them get started. And that's simply the end of the story. It's as simple as that. And they'll, through our continuing education, they'll get the support that they need to be able to use these in their lives. Okay, there are 3 ways to purchase these. And so many of you watching this already have an account, and you've kind of, dialed into this, which is great. And so you'll know the difference between that. But if you're totally brand new to this and watching, retail is how you would buy it. Like, so if you went to a massage therapist or your chiropractor, they might be selling oils there for you to use on a 1-off basis, and that would be like the retail price. And then there's a wholesale price, and it's just like Costco. There's really no strings attached. It's super easy. with your membership fee, you get 25% off. Whether you order, you know, once a year or 3 times a year or every month of the year, you get 25% off in that regard. And then there's even a way to get products for below wholesale. And that is a super effective way. If they're making a big difference in your life that you want to, you know, continue on, you can get them for up to 55% off. And so you get that 25% off plus an additional 30% back in points to spend. This is doTERRA's version of a loyalty rewards. Typical, you know, credit cards give you 1 or 2% back, or maybe up to 3%. doTERRA gives us 30% back to spend, and so that really helps us get some of those oils, like Melissa. We can use our points to get that, which isn't quite as painful sometimes as, you know, putting that buy me button. And there's some ways to even get started with this below wholesale thing, and that's by, you know, getting some kits. So if you are already a member, what below wholesale might mean for you is to put together a monthly order. And so it might look like this adaptive system to start off with, along with some wild orange. We haven't talked a lot about wild orange, but it's an amazing mood enhancer with that one. The copaiba, great for supporting us on all levels of healing in terms of mental health, our gut health, and all of that. And then the balance oil, which is just amazing for bringing us back into alignment and into being able to get things done in your day. So that little, you know, sequence there is, well, it's 145 in the US or 131. It would be, you know, what's going that be in Canadian? 180, something like that in Canadian dollars. And that actually gets you a free oil. So anything over 125 PV gets you a free oil in the month. And so that's an extra little bonus on that. And then as you're getting started, you'll, you know, work up to your points between, you know, 10 and 30% back on that. So super easy and super, you know, affordable way to manage your healthcare. A lot cheaper than different supplements, a lot cheaper than, you know, I find myself running around to different specialists or different massage therapists, and now I'm being able to manage my own health a lot better, and this is freeing up a lot of time in my life. So good tip on that. And this is where I'm going to pass it over to Rosie, and she's going to tell you about some of these extra, you know, all of this extra continuing ed that Rosie helps us all with in our group.
Krista, that was fabulous. That was so amazing. I love that we have this little reminder in here about the different pieces that we help to support people with who do set up their wholesale accounts with any of us through eoLIFE experts, right? These are just examples of some of the education sheets that we have, because we don't ever want you to have essential oils or doTERRA products that you don't know how to use. It's why we do this continuing ed. It's why we do the water cooler on Fridays, and it's really important to us that you know how to use everything that you get. Hey, it's Rosie Gummert again. Thanks for watching the video. We're so happy to provide things here for you to learn all about using your doTERRA oils and your doTERRA products. Hit subscribe, like the video, and share this with somebody else you know that would love to learn too. See you next time.